Yo, what's good, Pack Nation? Hey, listen, we got our guy. Okay. Um, it's some of y'all were hype about, getting Gainey. Others were not. You wanted shirts. The more and more I'm hearing about him looking at us as like a good job, but there's some other schools that he would take over us. I think it's a good move. We had to go ahead and be like, yeah, maybe not pull the trigger on that. I don't know. I think he's more of the bigger guy that said, look, I'm not going to do y'all like that since Wade just did, which I appreciate. So removed his name for consideration. But if we give Gainey the resources that we gave Wade and more, I feel good about it. I think he does a good job at creating relationships with players. I said that in my last video. And, there's some guys he pulled from NC State. Like, we were chasing them, and then they decided to go elsewhere or go with him. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So now maybe we get some of those guys, especially with a bigger wallet. So we'll see how that plays out. So, yeah, I really want to hear from y'all, man. Like, I know you've had all day to get on podcasts and listen to what everybody else has to say. I want to spend this time, really hearing from y'all. I want to know what the fans actually think about this move. Are you bought in yet? I know you don't. A lot of you don't like that he doesn't have head coaching experience, but can we get past that? How you think we're gonna, pack Lenovo? Give me your thoughts. Jack says this is my guy. Okay, all right. MK, hey Coach Jerry, surprised I didn't hire you. Yeah, I didn't apply. I figured I'd get somebody else some time to go ahead and warm up the seat for me just in case. Let's see. Akil says, Gary, I think you should take a look at the Nations of Coaches presentation Gainey gave. I did. About 40 minutes, and boy, I'm excited to see this defense. Big breath of fresh air from the past few years. Listen, our defense should be elite. Okay? I'm hoping what Coach Gainey does is bring in some people to handle the stuff he's not elite at. So if offense isn't his thing, go get an assistant that's very good at that. All right. I'm looking for a coach that allows his assistants to contribute, right? Like I want a coach that says, look, all right, let me hold on a minute. See what you say. Oh, you're seeing something different? All right, cool. And then we pivot, right? I'm really looking forward to seeing some different coaching. See what David talking about here. Wasn't my first choice, but behind him since he's the coach. All right, hopefully another Jay Lucas side. Okay. So, David, I ask you, what is it about Jay Lucas that you like? Are we just talking about the result that Miami got, or is it something a specific that you actually like about Jay Lucas? Because I don't know much about him. Like I saw what he did this year, but as for the type of coach he is or his personality, I don't know much about that. Golden Art. Exciting news. Always great to have a former Wolfpack. I would agree. I mean, I'm going to be honest. For me, with Gainey, I'm like, if he can pull back greats that we were excited about, who we feel maybe can recruit, of course, Julius Hodge, which he said he's probably not coming. But the hype around that is just big. And it leads me to say, look, we have all these former players that were all in on Gainey, right? Well, I know some of these people actually went and played overseas. If they did make it to the NBA, they went overseas. They made a little bit of money. Are they contributing to this NIL like all of us regular folk? Like I'm looking for some of our former athletes that have made a little bit of change to say, look, okay, let me pad this NIL a little bit so our school can be competitive. Not saying they're not, but I would think that if they did, we'd be just a little bit better off. What y'all think? Jack says, I love what he said in the interview. Hill, he already said he wanted an assistant that was a head that Will has head coaching experience. Okay, expecting a statement or move to bring in an offense-minded AC as well. Okay. David, results being a winner's first-time coach, meaning Jay Lucas. I got you. Pat, the money stays where it should, and he picks a good staff. We'll be good. ACC is there to be had if resources stay up. Listen, I was talking to one of my friends about resources and everything, and I'm like, it's such an odd time. I was concerned, with Wade dropping us like he did, that we would have Carolina get a home run hire. All right, Duke go win a national championship. Here we go, trying to catch up. But what has happened is Carolina may be waiting for their coach for a while if they're trying to get Tommy Lloyd, and there's no guarantee that he's coming. So that put them behind the 8 ball and trying to recruit out the portal. Duke just crumbled from a 19-point lead, and Shire again loses a big lead. Has some Will Wade type coaching down the stretch. So we still can slide in and be right where we need to be if our coach hits the ground running. So I do like where we're at, Pat. Can't lie. Let's see. Jack says Chris Corciani is contributing. I saw with Pack Power that he was reluctant to start, but now he's contributing. So that's good. But I'm thinking there's been some people, that's made way more than him playing professionally and in other businesses. And I'm like, are they all invested? Because NIL should not be an issue, right? Will says very optimistic about Gainey. Okay. Billie Jean, he's a leader recruiting, which is going to be rare for us. The hype should be much greater than Will Snake Wade. So it's going to be huge after hearing the recommendation from his current coach. Yeah, I agree. Rick Barnes gassed him up. That's good when you have your boss do something like that for you. That is big. So hopefully that is a legitimate recommendation and we see everything that, he can bring to the table. I just don't know. I'm not going to get too hyped about Gainey just yet. I do want to see the staff he puts together. I'm not going to lie. I'm interested to see what this press conference is going to be like because I know it's not going to be anywhere as flashy or as braggy as Wade went in, right? This guy's not going to come in making promises. We know that. And so I'm curious to see what his style is going to be like. He still needs to get the fans excited somehow. So what does he do? Does he tell us about, his plans for his staff, or does he tell us about the type of players he wants to get? Like, really interested in just hearing him speak to the fans. Get caught up on your comments really quick here. Pat. Wish list is keeping Paul, Cole, and Mikey, then get bigs, a point guard, athletes at every position, and a go-to guy. I think that's a decent wish list. Jack, thoughts on roster retention? I know he recruited a lot of these guys when he was at Tennessee and heard this was Paul's preference. Oh, see, Jack, that's more than I heard. I didn't know Paul had a preference, so that's good. If this was Paul's preference, then we should be in good hands there. Paul gonna have to learn how to play some defense though, because we know he don't like doing that. You got to move them puppies. David, Wade press conference today didn't mention state at all until the reporter put him on the spot. What a scumbag. Yeah, I saw clips of it. I saw he was trying to act like, we saying one thing and it really happened another way. And, and then he mentioned, we sure are mad for a coach we didn't think was really that good. Listen, he in his feelings. And it's cool. And it sounds like, us mentioning that it wasn't that great of a season probably bothered him a little bit. But I feel like he was on the move before we even started getting down on him. So I don't know what he can't think he did that great of a job. But then again, I don't know. This dude is different. He could lie to your face. I mean, with no signs that he's not telling the truth, which is wild. It's interested to see how he tears that place up down there. Because he did it one time before, so we're going to see. In PLS, has anyone mentioned the pattern of NC State b-ball coaches? No, we have not. Well, I wonder what pattern have you recognized? Jack, interested about the press conference as well. Thoughts on Wade today? Yeah, I gave you my thoughts on him. I'm not going to let him take up my Gainey time today. James, he wasn't my first choice, but we hired and he has my full support. Now he's our coach. Okay, go Pack. I understand. In PLS, Gainey seems promising. Hopefully not a repeat of Will Wade or Keats. Let the recruiting begin. Yeah, he's not like either one of those guys, but we're gonna see. Like I said, I don't know what to expect other than good defense. That's it. So I really want to see how he handles an entire program, especially one that he cares so much about. That's going to be interesting. Did you catch Will Wade trying to hype LSU and almost say Wolfpack? Yeah. I think a lot of state fans saw where he was talking about they're going to represent the state of Louisiana or some mess like that. Listen, it was just last week. My man was talking a whole different tune, so I get that he almost made a mistake. But yeah, he just needs to be concerned about when he comes back here, whenever that is. I don't know if they're going to do it next year. They should, but it's going to be it's going to be a trip when he comes back this way. David, Wade is freaking narcissistic. We're better off without him. I agree. I don't miss him at all. Like you all know, I was frustrated with his rotation and who he's giving minutes to, who he's not giving minutes to. So yeah, I'm not even gonna get into all that. I'm not gonna miss him at all. Let's see. Kevin, Juke Harris was recruited by Tennessee also. If he enters the portal, put him with Cole, Paul, and Matt, some bigs. They can block a rebound, and I think it would be hard to beat. So, I hear you. Kevin, I like Juke at Wake Forest. I like his positional size. He could definitely run the point for us and get Paul the ball, get Matt the ball. I'm just wondering, can Gainey, it'd be really interesting to see if Gainey can come in and actually get Paul and Matt on a defensive level that he is content with, right? Like Matt plays the passing lane good, but on ball defense is not great. Paul's on ball defense is terrible. And I don't know if that's effort or technique. It looks like a mixture of both because sometimes he looks like he's trying and it's just not enough. So it could be, he needs to get in the weight room because he's so thin. Other times it's just like he's worried about offense. So that's interesting to me. Like, is my man going to be like, look, I don't need a whole bunch of shooters because Cole, Paul, and Matt are shooting at three, right? Probably not going to all be on the court at the same time. So, yeah, that'd be interesting. If he keeps all three, that we know what they're going to be doing over the summer is playing defense. Defensive drills all day. What are your thoughts on that Cole Clora guy? Look, Cole he's a smaller frame guy. So I have concerns about him transitioning to this level. I know he's a shot maker, but you start getting physical with him, I'm not sure it's going to transition that great. Now, with him coming to college early, he should be a little bit stronger. That'd be a positive. But I really do feel it's a little redundancy there with him, Paul, and Matt, because I mean, you probably could play Cole at the 3, but if you play Matt and Paul together, then what? Like, you got to slide him to the 4. Then we're small. So yeah, I think he's a depth piece on probably the team that Gainey's gonna put together. But who knows? I mean, he could prove to be like, you know, a smaller version of Cooper Flagg or something. I don't know. We will see. Golden Art, what can you share about Coach Gainey's strength when it comes to coaching? I can't share anything, unfortunately. That is what I'm looking to figure out, right? With them being an assistant and not having any head coaching experience, the only strengths I know is that, you know, he is defensive minded. So our team should be very good at playing defense, should be tough, and that he's a good relationship builder. Those are really the only things that I know at this point. So as I find out more, I'll definitely try to do a deep dive on his potential head coaching profile. Let's see. Weed Jones, or is it W.E. Jones? I'm inclined to believe some of his game mismanagement was on purpose to taint the season, try to make his exit easier. Little did he know we're ruthless on Twitter. We would not forget. Fact. I can see that. Pat says Gaines a defensive guru. Okay. Jack, you were right all along, Gary. We're much better off now. I'm excited about what Gainey can do here, especially with a supposed $13, $14 million. Listen, this increase in NIL is something I am getting excited about. Okay. I've always felt like if you were a coach at NC State and we're in the NIL era and you're recruiting against Carolina and Duke, right? We know Duke's getting top players. Okay, cool. If I'm a top player, I'm like, look, I don't want to sit behind this guy or this other dude plays my position. Where can I go where I'm the man and show them what I can do and increase my draft stock? Instead of having to go out to BYU or somewhere like that, if you're like a North Carolina kid or East Coast and the guy above you went to Duke, or probably not Carolina because they haven't been getting top level talent like that, but probably went to Duke, just go up the road. You can get to show head to head how much better you are and be a legend. Like, State is fiending for a guy to come here and just show out. And I'm like, the only thing that's been holding us back is this money. So now that we put a little bit of money up, maybe we can get some top level talent that's like, look, all right, I'm going to go to State and I'm just going to prove that I'm him. We're going to see if it plays out that way. But that potential NIL budget does have me excited. I don't know what the number is, but the fact that they're just saying it's more than last year is enough for me. Wynn says, do you think Paul and Matt will stay? At this point, I'm not sure. Before, I was thinking it was going to be one or the other. With Gainey, I don't know. I think if they both stay, it's hard for me to see it. It's just hard for me to see them both starting. Like, it can happen, but they're sort of like the same piece. Abel gives you a little bit more with his game because he'll drive the ball and finish at the rim. But if Paul works on that in the offseason, now it's like about the same height. Abel seems to be more athletic, but he really doesn't catch fire like Paul can do or hit tough shots. So I don't know. I'm cool with both of them staying. That is the best scenario, I think, for us because it'll make us a deeper team. But who knows? We're going to have to see. I don't think either one of them go with Wade. I'll tell you that. W. Jones, Gainey is exactly what Abel and P2 need. Guard, whisperer, and defensive guru. They definitely need somebody to help them play some defense. You are right, sir. Gus, I think we got the best coach we could get. I hope everyone will get behind him. So that's an interesting statement. I don't know that we got the best that we could get, but I think we got a good one, right? And I think we got the best, the most loyal one we can get. I'll say that. Because we know our guy Gainey is not going to just up and bounce for Tennessee when that comes available or anywhere else, because this is the job he wanted. And that is good to know, because we know we've always been concerned about a coach doing well here and a blue blood trying to take them away, right? I don't see this happening with Gainey, so that's a positive. So, the floor, I feel like for him is so solid. Like, the fact he's coming in, the time is perfect. He's coming in after this dude just did what he did. He's beloved by Wolfpack Nation. He was here 4 years. He's a North Carolina kid. Like, it's so many things that fit. Family, man, the whole nine. And we just slide him in after we, to help get this bad taste out of our mouth. My man just has a little bit of success consistently. He's going to be good to go. He can't come in hot, knock it out the ballpark, and then fall off like Keats or something like that. He's got to stay consistent, keep us near the top. And I think, he probably could retire here. Like, it's not like we asking something crazy. We just don't like the up and downs. Just keep us up. Gary, did you see the UConn game winner? Man, that had me sad. I did see the UConn game winner. And what was funny is some friends and I were actually playing like a board game. And I saw Rothstein say something that popped up on my phone, like wow or something. And I'm like, what's he reacting to? Because our TV was behind when it actually happened. And then I looked and it was like, boom, 3. I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah. But I will say this, Pack. When you have freshmen in big moments, it's happening to Duke every year. He's bringing in these super talented freshmen, and they're losing these games in the tournament down in clutch, right? He's yet to have one like perform at a high. Even Cooper Flagg was choking down the stretch, turning the ball over, missing free throws. We need to make sure that we have a combination of elite talent, young talent, as well as seasoned players. Like, you need some seniors you can put in that moment that won't panic, that's been there before, that knows time and score, knows I just need to hold the ball, or I can just throw this thing to the other end of the court as high as I can. By the time it hits out of bounds, it's not going to be much time left. Like, instead of trying to throw over 2 players, they, that was some freshmen. It was 3 freshmen in the backcourt. Think about that. Freshman inbounding, freshman caught it, passed it to another freshman, turnover. That is crazy. But yeah, like I said it early on, Shire in close games is not that great. He just has elite talent. David says, here in the NIL will be around 12 to 14 mil to build a roster. Give that man the money. Yeah, I've seen that number bounce around. Hopefully he gets all of that. Jack could also bring Bishop Boswell with him, starting guard at Tennessee, and Charlotte kid. Okay. My understanding is Gainey also works on point guard development at UT, and that includes both sides of the ball. So that's encouraging for Matt, Paul's D, and get a good playmaker that shares the ball. All right. Well, that's good to know. Jack says, I still think Matt is already gone to Miami, but P2 and Cole will stay. So I could see that. If Matt were to roll out, I could see him just going to Miami that has success. Jay Lucas, he looks to be like a player's coach type guy, like they get along with him. So I could definitely see that playing out. He spoke very highly of Abel and trying to keep him. So I get that. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but we'll see. Pat, Wade's a good coach, but he's not a difference maker. The great ones are, and hopefully Gainey grows into that. So, Pat, listen, I have yet to see that Wade is a good coach. And I hear people say that, and I don't see why. There's nothing about the product that we put on the floor this year that said he was a good coach. I don't think he runs a great program. I don't think, his defense was terrible, relying on, analytics and trying to let people shoot threes. He could not get the team motivated. He said he couldn't get through them. Maybe that was a lie. But what wasn't a lie were the results. And so for me, I'm like, I know he's had W's at these other schools, but did he just have the most money at those schools? We know he was cheating, paying people at LSU. Like, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it because now the playing field is semi-leveled, right? He's going to the SEC where now everybody is spinning above board, and we're gonna see. We're gonna see if he can really talk that talk. He thought it was tough here. He might go down there and get smacked now. But they won't care because it's football country. So that's good for him. Pat says Cole is Alex Caravan 2.0, which is why UConn won a bad. All right, that would work out. Sounds like he will be starting if he's that level already. Henry says players in the portal will look for a place to start. We will be one of those teams. I hope McNeil, Abel, the kid from Finland, and hopefully the other freshmen from Africa stay, and Arsenal as well. So I am concerned about some of the recruiting that we were excited about. Those guys deciding just to go elsewhere. They could have been like bought into Wade and not just NC State, and now Wade has rolled out. They may not go with Wade, seeing how he departed, but I don't know that we still target those same type of players for what Gainey's trying to do. Like, we have no idea what his offense is going to look like, what his style is going to be like. Does he not go after, those type of players because of their lack of defensive prowess? Like, is he looking for a more athletic guy, more long? I don't know. So that is going to be interesting. The other freshman from Africa, are we talking about Moose? No. Finland, hopefully the other freshman from Africa stay in Arsenal as well. So I'm assuming you might be speaking about Musa. I'm not interested in him coming back. I didn't see him get better. That could have been because of the staff, but I didn't like his heart. Like, he would quit on us in the game and pretend to be hurt. Definitely towards the end of the season. And I don't care if you feel like Wade did you wrong and then you came here believing he was going to be here and you all knew by then or whatever. Still, you just quitting your team in the middle of the game to go sit on the sideline, then come in if you had to. I'm not really a Musa fan right now because he was moving real different at the end of the year. Arsenal, he was so up and down. And again, all of this could have been because of how the staff was moving, knowing that they were going to be moving on. I don't know. But what I will say is, with the bigger NIL, I'm cool moving away from all of them dudes except for Paul, Matt. I do want to see, what Cole can do. And that's it, really. Like, everybody else, I mean, they haven't shown me anything for me to be in love with them. So I'm cool with just, washing our hands of that and keeping it moving. It says, no, we don't need Musa. I agree. W. Jones says, Gainey was the right hire at the right time. There will be another shiny mid-major coach. The media says the dude. There's only one Justin Gainey from NC State, and it was time for his shot. I agree. Like, I do agree. This was the perfect time for Justin Gainey. Yeah, we just need some home cooking. We need that home cooking. We need somebody to be like, hey, look, I bleed that red, so let's get it. That's what we have right now. So we're gonna see. We gotta support this man though. That is key. Everybody keeps saying like, oh, the NIL is gonna be there. It's not just that. It's not just the money. Like, we got to come to the games. We need our student section to not just be standing there chilling. Like, our students used to be so much more hype before. I don't know if it's the product we're putting out there that doesn't have them hype, or students are just different now. I don't know. We gotta do better though, because our student section looks sleepy. Gary, I'm not gonna lie. I'm becoming more of a Pac fan than Duke fan. I mean, I was always kind of both, but at this point, I'm just becoming a bigger Pac fan. Yeah, you gotta pick a side, man. So, I get that you might want to somehow like both, but yeah, just come on over to our side, chill out, pull up a chair, relax. We'll hold you down. David says, hope Gainey believes in size and length on the wings and rim protect and rebounding as well. It really stunk last year. Listen, I am looking forward to Gainey doing completely different stuff, right? Number one, we heard, if y'all haven't heard, he says, look, the defensive philosophy is to get a hand up on all shots, right? Not let anybody shoot. Oh my gosh, music to my ears. Number one, that's the opposite of what we had last year, okay? Two, we know we got somebody that's super loyal, that wants to be here, hasn't been caught up in nothing. Cool. We know he's recruited athletes at multiple spots. And he was like the lead recruiter for Nate Ament, who's a big guy, super talented top player in the country. So I think he'll do a good job of getting what we didn't have last year. Multiple bigs, being able to rebound, athletic guys that can protect the rim. Like you said, the length on the perimeter. I think all that is coming. So it's going to be exciting to see the type. Here's another thing. So I don't know if y'all remember, but Keats was chasing like Freddie Dillon or something like that hard out of North Carolina, and we missed on him. Of course, that's what we do. But he went to Tennessee with Gainey. So it's like, potentially we could start getting these guys that everybody wants to NC State just because of how good of a recruiter he is. And I feel like his relationship building and us starting to win and having an NIL is going to put us where we need to be. So, yeah, David, I think we got some good stuff coming, man, just off those things. Gary, do you follow at Metro Pat? Yeah, I follow him. He does the review of watching the game and highlights. Yeah, I've seen some of his stuff. I pray to God we play LSU in the ACC SEC Challenge. So look, I posed this question before. I'm gonna ask y'all again. I want you to let me know in the comments, okay? If you had to choose between which school you probably, well, I ain't gonna say school, which is probably being a bigger rival going forward. Do you pick LSU if we could play them every year over Carolina, or is it always going to be Carolina? Because for me, I don't like Carolina. I hate Carolina. But to have Will Wade every single season, if we could have that every year, him coming to Raleigh every other year, like, I would love that game. That game would be crazy. Crazy. Like, the animosity in that game, can y'all imagine? Whew. Yeah, let me know. How do Now, next year, I know for 1 year, you might feel like, look, that LSU game is bigger than the Carolina game. I think at least for the next year, if it happened in Raleigh, that would be the biggest game to come to. I mean, it would have to be. Jonathan Wilson says, great hire. Bringing Watkins back will also help with recruiting. Have to keep McNeil and Abel, though. That's another part. It's like, who are the assistants going to be that he brings back? Because we know he can bring some Pack family. Levi Watkins has been mentioned, which is phenomenal because, he was helping us back with Keats. I'm praying he can convince Hodge to, quit being all cocky and wanting that head coach beside your name. You'll get it back. Just come rock with us for a couple years. It might even take that long. If we have a super great time, we start getting having an amazing year, make a pit stop at your alma mater. Because if Gainey does what he says he's going to do, you're probably not going to come back here as a head coach, Hodge, because it's going to be a long time. So take the opportunity now while you're still at a small school. But yeah, definitely looking for, who he's going to bring in on the staff. That's going to be interesting. W. Johnson, I justify state Duke love because V and K were tight. So listen, I get that, right? I feel like Coach K, when he was around the game, he always had like a soft spot for us. I don't know if he threw some of those games when he came into PNC. We were smacking him up for a few years in a row, right? Like it was hard for Duke to come to Raleigh, no matter what their ranking was. But, he always seemed to be like, I don't know, commending us on things we were doing, the coaches we had. It was always like, maybe that's because, his boy was here, yada, yada. But we sort of did his boy wrong. So maybe, he would be a little salty. But I get the whole Duke and NC State from back in the day, how they were, cool. Did you continue that? But now it's time to pick a side. Coach K is no longer there. Our guy's been gone for a long time. Now you can just rock with us. All right. Akil says, what about Wilkins? I want to see what he can bring as well. Think he'd be a rebound and post move machine at the 4 spot. Get a shot blocking big for a 1-2 punch like Carey or Okapari. I forget how to say his name. AUR. So, yeah, like Wilkins, I don't know. I hope he's good and he stays. I mean, he seems like a North Carolina kid that wants to stay close to home. He looks decent in warm-ups, but that's about all I know. And then his high school highlights aren't like breathtaking or anything. So we shall see how that goes. W. Jones says, I don't think Wade would have testicular fortitude to show his face in Raleigh and sign off on the game. Listen, so I would agree, but he was talking his stuff today. He left on he was cool with the way he left. Let him tell it. So if he's so cool with the way that he left, why not come back and play us? Just because we a little mad don't mean nothing. Come back and show that you're a good coach, since we don't think that you are. I would love for him to puff his chest out and try to come back in here and get a W. Yeah, please try that. So Jag says never to always be Carolina. So you won't hate LSU more than Carolina. I understand. Kill says the same thing. Always Carolina. We'll eventually move on. And if we did this every year, he'd run away like the rat he is anyway. You're right. I understand. Gus. Nothing would hurt more than losing to LSU. Listen, if that dude came in here and beat us, yeah, that would hurt really bad. That's why I posed the question: Carolina or LSU next year? Like, or really LSU with Wade anytime. Like we lose to Carolina, that hurts. I mean, it hurts, but to lose to this guy, I don't know, y'all. All right, getting caught up on your comments here. Let's see. Okay, so we're doing a lot of Will Wade hating. Cool. So let's talk about this timeline, right? So the portal is going to open on the 7th. So you pretty much have a week and a day, pretty much a week. You got a week for him to get in here, start working on his staff, and trying to retain who he wants of this particular team. I've really struggled with, continuity with the roster is a big deal. It does help, but when you're bringing players from a previous coach into yours, I don't know how well that works or that it matters. Right? You're trying to start new habits, break old habits, compared to just bringing in your type of guy. You're trying to fit them into what you do, and with that, I say keeping less is probably best in this scenario. Even though we had some decent talent that maybe was underutilized or utilized incorrectly, I don't know that it's in our best interest to keep the holdover from so much of Wade's team that he claims is going to be the worst that he had at State, which was accurate, but you get what I'm saying. So yeah, this portal, I mean, we got to get in this thing and go hard early. We got our coach. We got a week. I know he probably already has a list of people that he wants because he's been applying for coaching jobs for the last few years. So he's got to have people that he would call and know, like, hey, I got this job, or I'm about to get this job. Are you ready? And if he can just he doesn't even have to have his full staff. He just got to have a few of them and then get to moving and hire these other guys as time goes. I will say the things I'm hearing about, a GM or a potential GM and Patrick Stacey and all that stuff, that's interesting because I thought it was going to be, listen, Wade took all his guys. And Andrew Slater, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'm like, I know he's supposed to be that guy. But the fact that you was rocking with Will that tight, that you left the NBA to come back and do this, I'm good on you. Like, you can go. Not saying he's a bad guy, but it makes me nervous to keep him around, operate on our behalf when you was just operating with this cat that snuck out. You get what I'm saying? Like, nah, that's your boy. I don't know how close you are, but y'all were boys at one point. And for you to, I don't want any more hangover of guys that were like his aces. Let's see. Hey, it's Johnson. So, we talked about this. You might just got in here. We talked about the ACC SEC Challenge next year, pairing us with LSU, where we get to play at home. So I don't know that they're going to do that to LSU because that is doing something to them because it's going to be a very, very ruckus environment. So I don't know that. Yeah, that it's probably unlikely, but believe me, if it happened, those tickets are going to be crazy. This is let's see. Hey Gary, want to know who we need from the transfer portal? Alan Graves went to Santa Clara. He can play the big man. Excellent 3-point shooter and great defender. Imagine him under Gainey. So look, I can't speak on anybody that we need to get out of the portal just yet, just because it hasn't opened. I want to see who actually gets in there. I can tell you what we need. So we've talked about that. We need height. We need rim protection. We need rebounding. If we're going to keep, some of the guys we have that we know lack those things. And if Gainey feels he can improve the defense of Abel and Paul, then you only need to go get, like a lockdown defender or something like that. This doesn't need the ball and does everything. And you need an elite point guard. Then you fill your bench out to relieve those people. But we've got to get an elite point guard in the big. And I don't know this guy, Alan Graves, but the fact he was at Santa Clara, I'm talking elite. Okay. I want somebody that everybody wants, and we need to get that guy. Now, I did want to circle back with you all on something that I was thinking about the other day. So as I watched Duke and I watched how important their point guard play, was, I'm like, Deron Rippey, I don't think he's going to start for Duke. And he might end up being like the third point guard because the Boozer twin is not going pro. And he's probably not going to transfer because he's a legacy, right? So now he's third in line to get minutes, maybe. Does he play over the Boozer twin? Like, I don't know. So does he decide, let me out my commitment and then come back around to us? I mean, with Wade being gone, probably not. But I'm just saying, that's an idea. Let's see what you all are talking about here. Okay, so Slater is already gone, has been for weeks now, apparently. Patrick Stacey was assistant, refused to go with Wade. The admin wants to keep him around. Yeah, that's what I heard. I didn't know he'd been gone for weeks. So that's interesting. So he was gone before Wade, and that wasn't like a red flag for us, and that didn't come out. That Shawan guy, I agree with MKX8. They should have at least given Coach Gary an interview. I appreciate that. Coach Gary would have definitely interviewed. During the season, they were saying they were going to get me an interview, but now it makes sense. Wade was like, no. Plus, I was giving him a hard time on his radio show. So I don't know if that caused him to run away also. He got tired of answering questions from me. But yeah, I would have loved to get an opportunity to interview. All right. So A.S. Johnson says, sorry if we already talked about this, but I just got it. I've heard a ton about a defensive-minded coach, and that is awesome. But what offensive schemes are we looking at now? Yeah, it's a good question. We don't know. We do not know what we're looking at offensively. We might be looking at him bringing in an offensive coordinator since he comes from, those coaches that have like offensive assistants, defensive assistants. He probably will take a little bit of that with him and do the same thing. Get a guy who, has really, really great at offense, head coach experience, put him on the staff. I don't know. I am curious about that myself. Jack says, I said this about Rippy when he committed there. I don't see where he fits in there. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I've been looking at it, man. I'm just like and with the way that they lost, there's chances that some of these guys that were thinking about leaving might say, nah, let's run it back. Like obviously Boozer is gone, right? Cameron Boozer is gone. But everybody else, that's a lot of players that they might have been thinking about going to exit and go on to bigger and better things. The way they lost, who knows? They might all just say, no, run it back, man. We should have had a national championship. And then that's going to limit some playing time for a lot of them incoming freshmen. Jeremy Gunter has a great point. Since Gainey was a point guard, he understands the importance of a true point guard and how to use them. This make a huge difference in what we have seen the last few years. I agree. Having a point guard, as your head coach, definitely leans to having better guard play overall. But on the other side of that, I'm like, I don't want a point guard as a coach not putting emphasis on the importance of big men, right? Or playing inside out, that type thing. So hopefully that doesn't happen. We're not just out there jacking up threes or whatever. W. Jones says, nobody seems to know when or how long Slater left or even where he's been. It's really strange. Look, so before he was hired, it was like this thing about him being like a ghost and people don't see his face. Like, that's interesting. I don't know. That seems to be a thing of his, though, him being MIA like that. Henry says, what about the Oregon guard in the portal? Possibly get some players from ACC teams that come to the portal. Absolutely. Listen, there's a lot of opportunity here for us to definitely get players that are very, very good in the portal because of the amount of NIL we potentially are going to have. I will say, with these ACC transfers, I'm burnt when it comes to getting transfers that are supposed to be good off ACC teams, because most of the time they're bad. Like Juke Harris is like my main one that I'm willing to take regardless. But as I start to think about all these other ones that I liked, there was the guy at Pitt, Sia Lupa or whatever, his rebounding. These guys, when we had Keats, like Louisville guys, came with such a loser's mentality. I feel like that just rubbed off on the team. Like, what was Brandon Huntley, Hatfield, or what? He was terrible for us. And I'm like, we just took this loser, put him on our team, and all of a sudden we terrible. He had terrible effort. And I'm like, do we go after these guys that were on losing teams and expect them to become winners? Something we got to think about, guys. I don't know. Like, I don't know. It shouldn't be that way. And, like, I'll give you an example. Marcus Burton at Notre Dame, if he jumped in the portal, he would probably be my favorite player to go get because he's been rotten away at Notre Dame. The guy is very, very good, and they just wasted his talent up there because they won't put enough around him. He got hurt this year, but they're never going to have what he needs for him to win anything. And I'm like, if he can get in the portal, yeah, come here. Then I started thinking about it, like, man, do we want that dude? He's been losing his whole entire college career. I don't know. Philip Perry says, defense, what is that? Philip, so it's this thing that they supposedly do when the other team has the ball on offense. We're going to try to do that this year. It's like, I guess sometimes you like put your hands up, you like squat a little bit. It's crazy. You should see it. When you see it happen, you're going to be like, wow, that's what that is. As Johnson said, I really hope we're getting some true offensive defense balance. I'm not a basketball guru, but so many times during the season, the offense looked so one-dimensional. Hashtag hope they miss. Yeah, listen. Yeah, it'll be cool to have the balance. I don't mind having one over the other as long as you have like one person that is elite at one or the other, right? So if we're gonna be like a defensive-minded team, have one guy that's just an offensive juggernaut that can get a bucket at any moment. I'm cool with that, right? We know we got one guy. His whole job is to score. So you have a team full of defensive-minded players or guys that know how to lock up, and then you got James Harden, right? And you just give him the ball. That would be fine. We're probably not going to have that type of team, but I'm cool with that. And the other way around, if you got a bunch of offensive dudes, then you're going to have a guy like a Kawhi that's going to lock up everybody. Okay, cool. I think it's easier to do the former where you have a bunch of defensive guys and one offensive guy that can explode compared to having a bunch of offensive players and one guy trying to play defense because it's being multiple people that he can't guard at one time. But we'll see how it plays out. Are you going to miss Darian? Be honest, Gary. Don't lie. I won't lie. I'm not going to miss him not one bit. Look, I spent this entire season telling this man, not the entire season, the majority of the beginning of the season. First 15 games. Be aggressive. Be aggressive. Be aggressive. Okay? Shoot, shoot, shoot. You go 6 for 7, and then you just disappear, and that's it, and we lose. Then he started to listen to me, and he would go 1 for 12 or 2 for 15, and he was shooting us out of games, taking terrible shots. And I'm like, wait a minute. Now, is this okay, watch this. I'll show y'all why I know what I'm doing. I'm trying to prove us wrong. I don't know what it was. But that 180 was just too much for me. And he just ended up being so inconsistent and then so consistent at being not what we thought he was. So am I going to admit? I will say if we had him at a lower price point, then yeah, I miss him. I'd be like, oh man, he was one of the great value picks that we got up out the portal. But that man was expensive. And then he bought away that chain. Can we get that chain back? Because he bought this man that expensive chain and then he dipped. If I was him, I'd be like, hey man, get my chain back. You got to send that back in the mail because you did us dirty. You already bought your house in February. Listen, y'all can get me on a rant. That's not what this is for. So no, let me go back to that. I do not miss Darian. Coach Gary, what role or coach position would you want on Gainey? Said, listen, I'd like to be an assistant coach that works with the guards. That's what I would want. Work with the guards on how to, set people up for open shots, breaking presses, understanding defensive coverages, also how to get to the foul line. I feel like our players this past year did a poor job of that other than Copeland, and his was to drive and hope to get fouled, but he's falling down. He did do a decent job playing off 2 feet when he got in the lane, coming to a jump stop, pump faking, but then it was excessive, and he's pumping, and passing to a turnover. So it needs to be like for people like Paul and Matt Abel, that pump fake they use for the 3, instead of just sidestepping, go ahead, get them in the air, get you 3 shots. You shoot great from the free throw line, which they should have averaged 20 just off free throws. But yeah, that's what I would do if I had the opportunity. Thank you for that question. Jonathan Wilson, DW ran away from a national championship contender. Red flags were there. He took the bag and brought the mediocrity with him. Listen, whenever Duke whooped our ass and he came to that post game like that's the standard, I was like, hold up. The standard? Like everybody, Duke's been good for a long time. What are we talking about, man? And then he was enamored with how they ran to the score table. Yeah, don't try to get me started on that. Henry. Main thing is getting key recruits in our state to come play. Recruit home, keep talent in our state. McNeil is the example. You're right. And, Dave Doran's done a pretty good job of recruiting North Carolina. Basketball-wise, if we did a better job of that, we'd have some pretty good talent. That would be something impressive to see if we were able to do that. Just recruit North Carolina at a very high clip. That's the hoop stadium, right? So we got to hold on to our own and stop letting these elite players go to these other schools. Definitely. Let's see. He will be fired in 3 seasons. He who? You must be talking about Wade. Yes, Johnson, glad to find you. Awesome show. Do you coach locally? I do not, but I'm open. If that happens to be an opportunity, I will be looking into it. Thank you for that question. All right, y'all. So we've been on here for a good minute. I'm going to end this live, but I really appreciate y'all chiming in. Let me know how you feel about Gainey, as he adds his staff. We're going to talk about that. Hopefully Wednesday he gives us some insight on what his approach is going to be with staff and maybe how he plans to recruit, the type of player he wants. We'll talk about that, and then we'll definitely talk once we see which of our players are returning. That should start coming out soon. So please like, subscribe, and share. Definitely share the live with your friends and family, your Wolfpack family. And until next time, Pack Nation, go Pack.